President Obama signed an interesting new executive order on the issue of criminal justice. Mediaite reports, quote, in an effort to address the vicious cycle of poverty, criminality, and incarceration in America, Obama unveiled several measures designed to help former prisoners re-enter society, including an executive order that delays when employers can ask applicants about their criminal background. Several states already banned the box, as it's called, the box on the not resumes, but the box on the application that says, yes, I have a criminal history. So several states have already banned the box, referring to, they go on to explain exactly what I just explained. According to advocates, this new measure would reduce the discrimination during the hiring process. This executive order will apply to all federal employees, though private employers and state contractors can still require applicants to disclose their criminal history. According to a press release from the White House, Obama will also focus on measures that help reformed criminals find education and housing after prison. Plans released today provide grants to communities that expand education for convicted criminals and ease restrictions on who can live in government-assisted housing. The president will also promote his Tech Hire initiative, which expands access to jobs in the technology sector for people with criminal backgrounds. All right, so let me break this down. There's a lot to get to here, but I love 100% all of the later things here. So when he says he wants to have better education programs and housing programs for former criminals, I think that's fantastic, because when they get out, the recidivism rate is so high, and one reason for that is they don't feel like they have any opportunities. It's harder for them to get housing, it's harder for them to get educated, and the fact that even in specific industries he's promoting hiring for former criminals, I think that makes sense. His Tech Hire initiative, great. I'm all on board with that. Now, the earlier stuff, believe it or not, I'm actually kind of torn on, so let me dive a little deeper here. Here's my overall conclusion. For non-violent crimes, yes, there should be no box there. None whatsoever. And, I mean, in all seriousness, you should get rid of those crimes, because I don't think they're crimes. You know, all non-violent drug offenders, you sold drugs, you took drugs, whether it's cocaine, heroin, crystal meth, marijuana, I don't care. You didn't physically hurt anybody, so whatever. I would pardon all of those guys, and I'd change the laws ASAP by any means necessary. So for non-violent crimes, of course that box shouldn't exist, because those things shouldn't even be fucking crimes in the first place. Now, I wasn't sure in terms of violent crimes, because look at it from the position of the employer. Do you want to know if the person you're hiring possibly committed a violent assault or did manslaughter or murder or something like that? I mean, it's hard to make the case that more facts shouldn't be on the table. And that is the case that they're making, whether or not people want to acknowledge that. That is what they're saying. Now, there's a high-minded, idealistic reason behind that, where they say, hey, we don't want discrimination. What if people are really completely reformed and, you know, they don't get another shot because of the worst thing they did in their past? Isn't that fucked up? Shouldn't people get another shot? And, you know, isn't this a good way to go about that? So there's two sides to that. And I was conflicted, so I didn't know exactly how to address that, but then it finally occurred to me. What I would do is, you get one opportunity. So in other words, yes, the box doesn't apply if, you know, you're a one-time, you did a one-time crime, even if it was a horrible crime. You served your debt to society when you were in jail. Now you're out of jail, so by definition, you're supposed to get another chance in society. You shouldn't walk around with a scarlet letter on your chest. I mean, if your crime was really that bad and it was that violent, you should be in jail forever and address the problem on that side of it. But if they were in jail and then they get out of jail, okay, I get it. You know, I know people who went to jail who are actually fantastic people now, who've totally reformed their lives. I know multiple people like that. The fact that they might not have an opportunity simply because of that does drive me kind of crazy. So yeah, no box for that. But here's where I differ with President Obama. If it's a repeat violent offender, yeah, I think you should have to disclose that. And that might make me less progressive, that might make me less liberal, but I can't bring myself to, believe that the facts are not relevant to an employer and to everybody else they work with in that scenario, because then it's a pattern. You do it once, you made a mistake, you're reformed, great. Don't need to check the box, let's move along here. But should there be something on the applications that say two-time, violent offender? Yes. And again, maybe that makes me the bad guy, and a lot of my liberal audience would disagree with me on this, but I do think that when the facts are that clear and it's happened multiple times, the employer should know whether or not they're hiring somebody who's a crazy person or who is prone to violence or who might put other people that they work with at risk. So I take like a middle ground approach on this. The nonviolent crimes shouldn't even be crimes. The fact that they are drives me crazy, so no box for them. No box for first-time offenders, even if it is a really fucked up crime. If you served your time and you got out, okay, you're out. But for 2 times or more, are you a repeat violent offender, criminal in that sense? Yeah, I want the box to exist for that. And remember, guys, this only applies to the federal employees. This doesn't apply to private contractors who work with the government and private businesses. And I'm not even sure you could do that. If you passed a law like that in Congress, that might end up in going through the court process where, the judges might rule one way or another. It is constitutional or isn't constitutional or what have you. But we're only talking about for federal businesses here. The opinion I was giving you was idealistic in the sense that it's for everything, the way I think it should work for everything. Again, I don't even know if it's possible to do that constitutionally, but that's my breakdown of it. Overall, I think he did a good thing. I might not agree 100% with all the specifics of it, but it's a step in the right direction. And you're making it so that you give criminals another chance, and the recidivism rate perhaps will not be as high. Perhaps it will drop because you have given them a better opportunity to get an education, to get a job and hold down a job. And now it's more like society is doing something to try to rehabilitate as opposed to just being punitive and saying, one strike, you're out, and society rejects you across the board.